Here we are for another episode of the Kadoozie Kast, and oh boy, you know I'm always excited to do it, but I have to tell you, Vanessa Hollingshead happens to be one of my favorite people of all time. We've come up together, we've been doing stand-up forever, and let me just say hi to us first. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here in my own apartment doing a podcast. I try to make things nice and homey, you know, putting on my fake air, and Sue was like, turn that off, let me get the noise in the room. So here I am, life is good, I'm smoking my vapor cigarette and having my white tea, because I'm a mover and a shaker. You know, this is, I guess, serenity. And I read my 5 different, 24-hour-a-day books, you know, from OA, AA, Al-Anon, A Codependent No More. And I'm not even in the day right now. I'm trying to find serenity a day at a time. And I was too busy. I overslept, so I didn't get time to go to get to my Al-Anon meeting. I was running late. I tried not to stress out. And I'm not on any antidepressants because the one that actually works for me is Remeron. And it puts on like 60 pounds, which would make me feel fat, which would make me start smoking, which would make me think about a drink. And do I have to look like Buddha to feel like Buddha? So anyway, I'm just trying to feel okay about life, you know. But anyway, I did finally, after 4 months of not losing any weight, finally lose a pound, which gave me joy. Is that what my life is reduced to? And everyone's like, what's the matter with you? You don't seem to need to lose any weight. But coming from weighing 177 pounds and being in this business, you can never be too thin, okay? I'm just trying to do it naturally, which consists of, like, basically, looking at food. You know, I look at food, I look at other people eat my food, I don't really eat any food, and after a few months of not eating food, you just don't really want to eat food, so I guess it lifts. I guess the desire to eat food has lifted, okay? So that's a good thing. So now I'm, like, lightheaded, which is making me feel high naturally, so... And Sue was like, will you have something to say? I'm like, when do I not have something to say?
I wanted to make sure you could do it long enough. But see, do I even have to tell you why I love her? Look, I don't even have to say anything.
And Sue, and like I had extra clothes, and I'm like, I'm kind of small. I can't fit. I'm gonna let go of ever fitting into these clothes. I'm like, who can fit into these friggin' things? Can you swear?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, okay. Who can fit into these fucking pants? An anorexic. And then I'm like, oh my God, Sue's coming over. She'll just fit into these fine. Sue can eat anything and not put on weight. She does not have she's like she's like the only woman I know that doesn't have a fucking eating disorder, except maybe the odd people, in the audience. She can eat what she wants, or it's not about food. Does not put on weight.
It drives people crazy sometimes.
Yeah, I've accepted it. You know, I love you. I just accept it. Just Sue can have a hamburger, or she doesn't think about food. Food is not one of her issues. She doesn't. Yeah, I had to force her to have some water. I'm like, have some water. Just have some water. I never even. I'm like, I had food. I'm like, I'm not even. It won't be about food. It'll be like getting a show, doing a podcast.
It makes people mental. I remember I had this friend. I had her over for dinner when I lived in Brooklyn. And we had, like, after dinner, we had, like, those Stop and Shop cookies. They were, like, chocolate with, like, frosting on them or something. Just in a bag. And we had a couple, and I put them in the cabinet. I didn't think and then she called me every day afterwards. Where are the cookies? Where are those cookies? Where'd you put those cookies? Where'd you get those cookies? Are those cookies still there? And I was like, what is she talking about?
Wow.
But I only had, like, 2 or whatever I had. Yeah. I don't pay attention. But she must have wanted to have more, and I didn't.
It finally went away after, I don't know. It just lifted. I don't know how. I think it was like you pray to God to lift the alcohol, and then the food went. Like,
that's
I don't
good,
understand.
Though, 'cause food's really hard.
It just like went away. It just kind of went away, and I couldn't believe. I was so busy trying to have the depression lift after my mother died, and God must have crossed the signals. Like, well, you're still gonna miss your mom and that pothead boyfriend, but you know what? We'll get rid of the food. I'm like, did he? Like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
One thing went away.
One thing went away, kind of. But, when I was in rehab, they, like, treat all addictions as one. So I really learned a lot. And the one thing I learned about Bill and Bob is they were so ahead
Bill and
of their
Bob, but explain to people who this is, because I don't know if they know.
Oh, Bill and Bob. I thought everybody knows who Bill and Bob is. There's Bill and Bob, and then Carol for OA. I mean, I haven't been to an OA meeting forever. But Bill and Bob are the founders of OA. Of OA, no, they were.
Get your facts straight, because they'll be tweeting at me.
No, Bill and Bob were the founders of AA, and they were they were hopeless alcoholics. But they really, when they wrote the big book, and AA was actually started by Bill and Bob, but the Oxford group was a set of principles that kind of were Christian principles about kind of cleaning up your act. And then Ebby kind of got sober, and he was an old friend of Bill's. And then Ebby said, I found religion, and then informed Bill about this. And then Bill eventually got sober. He was hopeless. I mean, if he had been to about maybe 2 or 3 institutions. And then Bill had one of those white light experiences, and most alcoholics rarely have a white light experience.
Which means what? Like spirit? Like
spiritual, like he was in his bed and just knew that he was never going to drink again. But he did suffer from clinical depression, so all the times he was helping alcoholics, most of the time he was sitting by the phone waiting for the phone to ring because he was so coupled with depression. And so many people, when they get sober, they've got problems other than alcohol. So they're usually by wanting to have more cookies, wanting to have more coffee, wanting to have more cigarettes. Or,
is that to cover the problems that they have?
Yeah,
is that what it is?
like alcohol, the 12 steps and working the program and helping another alcoholic doesn't necessarily address some of the problems other than alcohol. And, they say it's just but a symptom. So when you do step 1, you admit you're paralyzed over alcohol. 2, came to believe something can restore you to sanity. 3, turn your will and your life over to the care of God as you understood him. 4, you clean house, you admit your defects. 5, you tell somebody else. And then 6, you get rid of some of these defects.
Which a defect is what? Because some people
defect of character, it could be like impatient.
Oh, like something that's characteristic.
Or gluttony.
Yeah.
It could be like, I can't stop eating. And a lot of people, they want the cash and prizes. They want their, they want to get a husband, to get a wife, to get that career of their choice. And the only thing you get promised is, the desire to alcohol, the desire to drink gets removed. And for some it gets removed, some they struggle. Like Bob, I'm much more identified with Bob the second time around after my relapse.
Well, everybody doesn't know your story. So
my story, okay.
So you quit drinking for a long time? Or?
Yeah, I quit drinking in 1985 when I was 25. And, I was in and out for maybe 6 months. And then it was removed. And I was like an actress. I just wanted to be an actress. Had no desire to be a stand-up. I would see stand-ups. It was like, I don't know how.
You had no desire to do stand-up?
No, I wasn't.
But you were an actress before you quit drinking?
Yeah, I studied at Lee Strasberg. I graduated high school. I went to Boston, where I thought, where did they get those crazy accents?
We were born with it.
Yeah, born with it. It was like, so I went to Shaw Preparatory School. I finished high school at 14 and a half. My dad was Michael Hollingshead. He brought LSD over to the United States.
Oh, tell me about that, because I watched Ram Dass. I was talking to my friend Jules on the podcast about Ram Dass. And it wasn't Timothy Leary and Ram Dass that brought the
No, they
LSD.
just decided to take all the credit and steal my dad's thunder, which is one of the reasons why I think my dad became such a horrible alcoholic.
What happened? Your dad brought LSD?
Yeah, he gave it to them, and they didn't give him the credit he deserved. And I wrote a book. I'm still finishing the book. He should have gotten the credit. Should have gotten the credit.
You know what it was? I'm going to give him a shout out. Ryan, who listens to the podcast, remember how I said we got to get our facts straight, or they'll tell me, because
I'm trying to get the facts straight.
But he tweeted at me that it wasn't Ram, because when Jules and I were talking about it, because it looked like that's what they were saying on the documentary, and he said that Ryan White. I'll give him a shout out. Ryan White. He tweeted at me and said no, they weren't the ones that brought the LSD over.
No, it was my dad, and my dad gave it to Paul McCartney too.
Where did he get it?
He got it from Huxley, and Huxley, got it from Hoffman Laboratories, Hoffman LaRoche. Now all they became now they give the antidepressants, but Hoffman, it was called LSD, lysergic acid 25, because it was the 25th batch. Now this podcast is going to be all about the acid. I can see it in your eyes.
No, it's not.
I can see it in your eyes. No,
I like to see how you evolve into who you are, coming from a dad who brought LSD.
Yeah, and I was
here.
separated a year and a half. My dad thought my mom was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. My mother was working at Oxford University Press. My dad was a writer, and my dad was already an alcoholic, like in his 20s. But alcoholism, what causes it is resentment. What kills, and most alcoholics, they have a capacity and a brilliance, more than normal, more than most, and an earning potential. But the self-centeredness and the self-centered fear and the resentments does most alcoholics in.
What do you mean it causes it? It doesn't cause alcoholism, right? Because alcoholism
it prevents. It's so hard. Resentments fuels alcoholism.
Right, so if you don't get over how angry
If you don't get over how angry you are, you will either relapse or you will have a very hard time maintaining long-term sobriety or getting sober. It will fester and it will fester inside your soul. And you can get sober and still be a miserable son of a bitch in an AA meeting.
Which is so crazy, right? You wonder why somebody would do that.
Yeah, that's why you got to work the steps. You've got to find some peace or get some therapy, or sometimes you got to take an antidepressant to just uncover it is a soul sickness. I believe it to my core, and sometimes you need to get some help to treat that soul sickness.
When you say soul sickness, you mean it's like
core issues. The one thing I learned in rehab is I had major abandonment issues, major shame issues, and sometimes they try and just work the steps, just get with a good sponsor, don't drink and go to meetings. Sometimes you need a little bit more help.
Well, like an abandonment issue would mean like serious trauma from being abandoned.
serious. I was told my dad was trying to do the right thing. When I was my mother, I said I could never be alone. Some people can be alone. I can't. And I said to my mom, Mom, did something happen like when I was a baby? Because I can't even eat alone.
What about now? Can you be alone now? Or?
I'm learning. I've had to learn. And that's why AA worked for so long for me, and comedy and being with people. I had no problem sponsoring people, going to meetings. It was when the meetings were gone, when I wasn't around people, that when I wasn't in a relationship, that it was, I couldn't bear it. I could not bear being alone.
That's the danger of anybody, that if everything comes from the outside,
yes,
you're never going to be okay, because
absolutely.
If the outside changes,
but when the outside is filled up or appears filled up, whether it's a comedy, a career, a man, even sponsoring people, sounding good in an AA meeting, sounding good on stage, when those outsides appear to be okay, and AA and comedy and a great relationship will enforce the outsides, you think, wow, okay, I got this. Great, I got it. I'm okay. And when those things begin to fall apart, your insides fall apart. So this second time around was the journey to getting the insides fixed up.
You think I think that a lot of times people will chase a lot of the outside because they're so afraid to go to that wound, that cut.
It's so wounded.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why
so
you end up getting involved in the relationships, getting very involved in AA, church, religion, food, cigarettes, workaholism, to avoid that pain. But if you can just get through it, you can get through the other side. My mom said, my dad, I used to cry, and my mom's immediate instinct was to just hold me, and my dad said, don't, you'll spoil her. But that's what they learned in the 60s. My dad didn't know any better. So I was left alone there I wasn't even one to be screaming until I calmed down.
And people don't understand, it sounds like, you can't get over it, and your parents can't fix it when you're an adult. You have to fix it.
You have to fix it, even though I made peace with my mom when she got older and I got older.
But she still couldn't fix it.
She still couldn't fix it, and the wound was already there. Right. So anyway, Baba Ramdas actually gave me, when I was tripping on acid at 5, because I got into the sugar cube.
You say this so naturally. Oh, right, when she was tripping on acid when she was 5. What?
Yeah, so my dad brought LSD into the country. Tim Leary didn't even thought my dad was a psychopath.
Why?
He just thought my dad was a little crazy. My dad got the acid from Huxley. Huxley's like, you got to try this stuff. He got it from Albert Hoffman, who was experimenting. Albert Hoffman took the 25th batch, and he just, it was like a speck that was from a rye seed. LSD comes from a derivative from a rye seed, from rye bread. Mm-hmm. And he was just bicycling in Switzerland. The next thing, he was tripping his brains out. He got the LSD to Huxley, who wrote The Doors of Perception. And, that was the beginning of my dad actually created, the beginnings of the fucking 60s revolution, with all the great music, with everyone turning on. And even the guy who created Apple, Steve Jobs. said the greatest thing that ever happened to him was acid, and Bill Wilson was taking acid. I even shared an AA meeting. They were angry when I said, Bill Wilson thought all the alcoholics should do acid because they probably stopped drinking. They were like, could you not share that? I said, excuse me, it's in Bill Wilson's autobiography. I'm going to share what I want.
Can they tell? I can't tell you not to.
They can't tell me what I can. They said, for the newcomers. I said, I am a fucking newcomer. Excuse me. I can share what I want. You're not going to shut me down, Miss So. How many people are taking Klonopin? That's a benzo. That's a benzo, and
so, sober people that are in AA are taking Klonopin.
Are taking Klonopin. Yeah, all of them are. One of the reasons why I left AA in 1986 is my own sponsee. So you get a lot of anger issues. Take Prozac. I mean, one of the reasons I left AA in '86 was everyone was now self-medicating their feelings away, and they were getting like pod people. Mm-hmm. And then I thought I found my real people when I got on in comedy,
which we have to talk about because Vanessa, there's no one else like you on stage with the stand-up. There isn't. There's nobody else with the vulnerability. Most comics, I shouldn't generalize, but there's like a craft to it. There's an act to a lot of it. There's a toughness to it, or like the deflection of the funny. A lot of times the funny is to deflect. You don't do that.
No, I don't.
Your vulnerability on stage, which is why you had a tremendous amount of success doing it. I mean, as soon as you hit the stage, didn't you have like
I had huge success, and then I made a big mistake, and then I began, after I started studying a lot, I studied with the minister. I really internalized what Lucian... I hung on Lucian's every word.
Oh, we have to tell everybody who Lucian is because they don't know.
Okay, Lucian was my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was the alpha and the omega to me.
He ran the comic strip.
Ran the comic strip.
Here in New York.
But he also ran every thought in my head. He became my I left AA, and Lucian became my fucking higher power. And people really thought that I was with him to get spots at the comic strip.
You didn't need the spots at the comic strip.
They didn't realize that I was already at and passed at the comic strip before I started dating him. And he wanted us to be like, to tell people that I was dating him. And I said, I will not tell anybody I'm dating you until I'm in past in all the other clubs and until you say you're in love with me. And he wouldn't say he was in love with me. He wasn't sure. He wanted to see what else was out there. It used to do
That's
me in.
That's what he would say to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a very funny way of like, with his words of like, taking the legs out from underneath you before you even knew what happened. Yeah.
He regularly.
But regularly. Because this brings me, I don't want to forget to say this. So you were afraid of being abandoned, but here's what people don't understand a lot of times. We're afraid, we have terrible abandonment issues, or whatever the issue may be. So we do everything to try to avoid it, but we actually do.
I remember you used to say that to me.
What did I say?
It's like, you got some abandonment issues, Vanessa. And I'm like, fuck, does she get off fucking telling me you got abandonment issues right before I'm getting ready to go on stage? And I'm like,
I'm afraid I can't leave Sue.
She might be right. I got abandonment issues. And I remember us doing a gig together, and it's like we had a big fight over something.
We did?
Yeah, we had a big fight. Like we were doing a gig together. We were just fighting over something about nutbag. You said nutbag. That's my word. Nutbag. Nutbag. I was like, no, I do that in the Bronx. No, that's from Boston. And I was like, finally, I just said, Sue, I don't know. I know that we say nutbag in the fucking Brooklyn, and I'm from fucking Brooklyn. Like, they say it in the Bronx, too. And like, all I know is if I don't go to the fucking bathroom, I'm going to lose my fucking shit. And then I think we made up. We
had a fight over nothing.
We had a fight over nothing.
But people don't understand, like, to make it to a career like that with all the pressures and everything that goes on, then sometimes people do fight, but maintain that over years.
Yeah.
And now
you always maintain it. Well, it's like, you got to be, I mean, we were all, I knew, I was always direct, and I knew you were always direct. So it's like, I tend to trust direct people that get angry right then.
Yeah, and you don't
it's
have
the
to worry.
Passive-aggressive people that fucking, I'm like, be aggressive. And just let me have it.
And let me
have it.
Right.
Just, if you're going to get angry at me and accuse me, so just do it to my face. Let's have it out. Even if fists are going to fly, or we're going to get angry.
Fist, right?
Yeah. Let me have it.
But we also have the perspective of been doing it for years now that we have more respect. We can see, and plus back then, there was a lot going on with all the sitcom money and all the stuff and all the competition, and it was insane.
And I got so burned.
Yeah, you did.
And I was so trusting.
Yeah.
I was so trusting.
Because you are, because that's what I mean. When you went on stage, the thing that made you so awesome was that you were just an open nerve on stage.
And then I got so disillusioned by AA. I'm like, okay, I did it. I was honest. I was sober. I helped alcoholics. I did right by... what the fuck? And why have you forsaken...
Why did it make you so upset? What made you so upset? Because they were doing drugs? They were taking prescription drugs? That was making you upset?
Yeah, and my sponsee turned her back on me. She was going with someone else who she couldn't handle me. She couldn't handle her sponsor because she was angry and had feelings.
So, but all of these things that in a normal, somebody who's not normal, but adapted they would be able to go in and out of them a little bit easier. They were devastating to you, is what I'm saying, right?
They were devastating to me. And then when I watched my development deals, like I was promised another one.
How many did you have? How many development deals did you have?
I had 2, and I gave back the money. What? I mean, I even gave back the money.
Oh, Vanessa, yeah. What?
Yeah.
They're going to be like, why are they laughing? What?
Because they wouldn't let me audition for anything. They
gave you a holding deal.
They gave me a holding deal. $100,000 holding deal.
All right, first of all, everybody needs to understand. Back when we were in our 20s, they give you a $100,000 holding deal. You're a comic who literally makes $15 a spot. That's how much they pay us. Seriously, everybody. They don't pay us a lot.
$100,000 holding deal.
So it seems like a lot, but what do? They take tons of taxes. You get an agent, a manager, a business manager,
I had
lawyer,
everybody
right?
all up, yeah.
So it ends up being $15,000, and now they give her $15,000 for a year, probably, right?
And they won't let me. And everyone is they won't let me audition for anything. So I just sat in an apartment,
and it made you in you
LA
completely powerless, right?
Yeah, and I could barely powerless after them. And Drew Carey, they offered me the Drew Carey show. They were going to write a part for me, and then Carsey Warner begged me. They said, "We will write you a show and have you play a cop." I was meant to play a cop.
I remember all this.
And then Steven Zahn was supposed to be my brother, and he got The Thing You Do, directed by Tom Hanks. And my deal went I went from hot to ice cold.
Just because Steve Zahn got in his own movie.
And they never developed me again. And even David Tochterman said, "Please don't hate me." And I said,
Tochterman used to work at Carsey Warner, right?
I said, I'm trying really hard not to hate you.
But that's all they all say. They fuck you and then say, "Please don't hate me," like all my boyfriends.
They fuck me in the ass with no Vaseline. I don't know any other way to put it. And I'm a lady. I'm a lady and I have integrity. But in this instance, that's what they did to me.
Well, I'm laughing so hard because it's so bad. And that's what I found out later on about these holding deals that they would give everybody. Sometimes they would just give you a holding deal just to take you off the market, which is what they might have been doing to you.
And then finally, I said, "Take your money back. Just let me be an actress."
Which is really ballsy. That's ballsy, Vanessa.
I had balls. I had integrity. I had integrity and I had balls.
You did. But then, don't you find, when you're younger, the first time out of the gate, you do have it, but then to sustain it, you're like, oh, it's going to take, I got to go back.
Let me put it this way. When I relapsed and my friend was helping me book gigs, she's like, "Boy, do I know why you became an alcoholic." I've been fucking drinking too in this business. I can't do. She goes, "Vanessa, I can't help you anymore. I can't take the rejection. Oh, really? I can't take booking you. How many times? I can't take your rejection." I said, "I did this all alone." I'd be like, "Okay, in the morning I'll do all the avails." I was drinking from 7 a.m. till 12 midnight.
When? After you relapsed?
After my relapse, yeah.
All right, so wait a minute. Let's set up the relapse. Okay, so 86 you get sober? Is that when it... Or 80...
85, 86.
85,
yeah.
You're 25 years old.
Yeah.
You're an actress. What makes you start doing stand-up? When do you start doing stand-up?
My roommate, I'm living in Astoria, she's like, "Vanessa, I watch comedy, and every time you tell me what your day at work is, I'm on the floor laughing. Did you ever think about maybe doing stand-up comedy?" I'm like, "No. What, me? With a microphone by myself? No, I'm an actress. I studied Lee Strasberg. I studied Shakespeare. I studied iambic pentameter. I'm a trained actress. I got scholarships at Lee Strasberg." And then I used to feel like an ugly, fat slave girl just typing away. It's like, when is my ship? I used to share at meetings. "Hi, my name's Vanessa. I'm an alcoholic. when is everything going to work out for me? I don't want to be an alcoholism counselor. I did not get sober to be an alcoholism counselor. I don't want to do that.
Did they love when you said
Yeah, they used to love me. And then someone came up to me and goes...
Because everybody becomes an alcohol counselor.
They become an alcoholism counselor or get married or have a lot of cats. Something. And I was like... and I was very sure. I looked like a Nazi salute. Hi, my name is Vanessa Hollingshead. I'm an alcoholic. Okay. I couldn't fucking... And then this black guy comes up to me and he's like... He's a musician, jazz musician. He's like... I hear you share. I think all you need is a microphone and a glass of water.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, what? He's like, you are one funny motherfucker.
Hilarious. You're hilarious.
And then...
Without trying.
I've never tried. I was always in pain.
Yeah,
I was always in fucking pain.
It was just to alleviate the pain a tiny bit.
I was always in fucking pain.
You were hilarious, but always in pain.
Always in pain. And then in 86, I was noticing less people were in pain as they were on their antidepressants.
And it really devastated you.
I was like, this is not the AA I knew. I was watching it. I'm like, hi, my name is Brooke. I'm an alcoholic. Everything seems to be going well in my life.
Oh, so you weren't having a connection either is what was happening. Not only was you weren't just judging that they were taking the drugs, there was no connection anymore. That's what was happening, right?
Yeah, I was like, where people aren't...
They weren't being vulnerable.
They weren't... I'm like, no one's sharing their feel. No one's like... This is like Invasion of the Body Snatchers in fucking AA meeting.
And it's bringing up your abandonment. Terrible, right?
There was no... And then, but I did my first month of comedy in Scott Blakeman's class. I got on stage, and after waiting 4 hours to go on, no one was laughing. As soon as I held that microphone, I was like, oh my God, I'm home.
Isn't that funny? I just said that the other day in an interview. Somebody said, I said I was terrified to do stand-up. And as soon as I got on stage, I said, I'm home.
I'm home.
And no one was laughing still, and you were still home. We could analyze that forever,
yes.
though. I was terrified,
yes.
and I'm like, oh, I'm home.
Yes.
I'm like, that might be a little twisted, fucked up too, right?
Yeah. And then I was like, I've got to find a way. And then I was like a horse with blinders. Within 2 years of doing comedy, I got those development deals.
Yeah, because you were so good.
I was so focused.
Yeah, you would do spots every night, right? And
every fucking night. And just... Nothing. I wouldn't even get involved. I remember a guy tried to date me, and he was like, what are you playing hard to get? I said, no.
I am hard to get.
I said, I am hard to get. If I'm not of it. And he goes, I work on Wall Street. I have a nice car. I said, I don't care what you have. I said, this is what I'm doing. Integrity. This is what I do.
There was your integrity right
there.
Look at that.
Yeah. So anyway, so my dad gave Flo Ferguson the LSD in Cambridge because he went to Cambridge to meet Tim Leary, and Tim Leary's like, listen, I'm experimenting with my psilocybin mushrooms with the students and with the faculty.
In Harvard.
Yeah. And I'm not interested. So my dad, as manipulative, brilliant alcoholic, as charming as shit. I mean, women flocked to my dad, even though he had no hair, big schnoz.
Oh yeah, the charisma.
Women. Oh, he exuded charisma. He had light blue eyes. Flo Ferguson, who was Maynard Ferguson's wife, he said, listen, Flo, would you like to try a little LSD? And Flo tried it because she was very good at wooing, and Flo said to Tim Leary, it was Flo Ferguson, said, I saw God. I mean, this is like 20 times better than the mushrooms. Tim loved Flo. So Tim took the acid and was like, Michael, come on, this is great. We can start the psychedelic university. We could start turning people on. Then they got Millbrook Mansion. My dad and mom were already having marital problems. So they were having a lot of, and so I went to stay at Millbrook Mansion, and I was 5 years old, and they would put these like drops of acid on sugar cubes. Now, I'm a little kid. I don't know. I like candy. So I don't know how many sugar cubes I had. The next thing I'm doing, I'm hallucinating my brains out. I'm seeing like fluorescent worms all over the ground. I'm jumping up and down on the trampoline. My dad is now madly in love with this woman, Britta. And I start crying. And I remember Britta grabbing me under her arm And I look at my dad and I said, Dad, look at the pictures ripping. Look at my nails, they're getting smaller. My dad was like, oh my God, Vanessa got into the acid. So he's driving me around all over Poughkeepsie. I'm saying, Dad, look at the purple
What's he driving you around for?
To get me down off the acid. And he's driving me to Baba Ramdas's house. And Baba Ramdas, who was Richard Alpert at the time, knows to give anyone who's having a bad trip, because sometimes you don't have the good trips. Sometimes, like, because it opens your unconscious brain. I mean, it floods your brain with endorphin and dopamine and raises your serotonin levels, you know. But sometimes you see God, and their hope was if everyone would start seeing God, the world would be a better place. And if you're a drug addict or an alcoholic and you had these moments of divinity, you might not be so quick to just like numb your feelings with drugs and alcohol, or or crime. You know, they were giving it to people in prisons. And a lot of them didn't go back to crime because they had this pure LSD before it was cut on the streets, before it was cut with strychnine, before it was cut and went black market. So Baba Ramdas gave me a shot of Thorazine in the ass, and I remember that because I hated pills. I remember needles, and I remember him picking me up, and and the next thing I was out. And my dad said I was afraid you'd get some brain damage, you know. And I said, well, luckily, Dad, I didn't. Great, right?
But I got.
Thanks for good one. I was always so sarcastic, like
Even when you were little.
No, I wasn't sarcastic when I was little. I just wanted his attention. But as I got older, because he would drink like 2 bottles of vodka. Now, if I was yelling because I was so angry at him for leaving me and my mom, it was so much anger. And I graduated early. He wanted me to go to Harvard because he knew all the connections. He said, I want you to go to Harvard and you'll graduate at 21. I'm like, no, I want to be an actress. I'm going to be a great actress. I don't need your help. Where were you when I needed you? Giving drugs to everybody, fucking every woman. I don't fucking need you. And my rebelliousness, and then he'd slap me and beat me. But I knew if I was sarcastic and quiet and just like said something really nasty, he wouldn't like haul off and hit me or beat me. So that's where I developed some kind of sarcasm. But he would always be, when he was sober, he was nice. When he was drunk, he was violent. And I learned how to just study. I was a straight A student. I learned how to just get all my needs met by my teachers and by friends. And then I was always having candy and sugar. I would drink, with friends and get drunk and maybe have promiscuous sex at 13. And I'd always fall madly in love with like older kids. But it wasn't like alcohol wasn't. I would drink too much and then never think about it. And I thought I would never, ever be an alcoholic, ever. I will never do that. So it was always about sugar. I was always such a sugar addict. Then when I came into AA, I was like a potential alcoholic. I would, drink a little bit, but not, it was a potential. And I thought, let me just sober up so I don't make the mistakes my dad made. And then Lucian, all he wanted me to do was like drink wine with him. I'm like, no. And
he would say that all the time to you.
What? A lot. He's like, I wish you could just have a wine. I mean, this. And then he would drink the wine and go, let me, they'd say, would you like? And you go,
oh, you squish it around in his mouth.
Oh, what a lovely bouquet. And I don't even think you're an alcoholic. I think you had emotional problems. I mean, the way you grew up is just hellacious. I don't really think you're an alcoholic. I mean, you do have a tendency to snack. I mean, he didn't even know I was taking antidepressants when I'd quit smoking. He's like,
Wait,
he had no idea. I mean, he was so fucking clueless.
You have a tendency to snack.
You have a tendency to snack. And I wish he'd stop smoking, but I just
Did he ever tell you anything he liked?
What?
Did he ever tell you? He thought your talent was...
Oh, my God,
right?
yeah, and he did respect... He went to my one-person show, like, verbatim. He watched every set. He goes, I wish you would just set some of those jokes. Just set them. Every set is just a new set. Jesus.
Oh, yeah, because I was wondering, that is a little bit of your problem, that you get a little carried away and you don't keep the structure.
Yeah,
so
and
much,
he goes, I mean, some of your sets are, like, just amazing, and then, Saturday just makes me, it used to drive him nuts. And I said, well, Brando did a new performance every show is like a new performance. He goes, you're not Brando.
But that is interesting how do you rein that kind of, like, raw... Listen, I mean, we didn't even have to discuss that. It just comes out in your story how raw and open you were, and that was your talent, but how in the world you had no ability to, like,
which makes it very hard
to manage it, because
manage
as much talent as you have, that's why people always say talent is only a little bit of it. It's not always.
And sometimes you can. I mean, structure always. I mean, that's why AA and acting classes always reined me in. And when it was reined in, it was so powerful because there was structure. And when I adhered to that structure, I was unstoppable. Mm-hmm. But when you gave me those antidepressants, it like put like a glass. It was like Elvis left the building, but I was able to function in life. I was able to give Lucian his put the bandages on his fingers and hear him howl and not cry.
Right, because Lucian died of
scleroderma.
Scleroderma. That was her husband. How long were you married to him?
We were together for 10 years. We were only married for 14 months when he died.
And have you resolved that, like, your relationship?
When I went to the
him?
rehab, I was able to actually this therapist that was trained in Gestalt and also super spiritual. She had someone come in to someone else as Lucian, and I was able to make peace. There was things that I didn't forgive myself, like for hurting him. Some things I had said or didn't do with him that I just never forgave myself, and things that I held. That he said to me that I couldn't.
There was the truth.
It was the truth, and I couldn't let go. And this person said, I felt this huge presence come into my body, and he didn't know Lucian from Adam. And he goes, my hands were boiling hot. He didn't know he had scleroderma, and he didn't know that all Lucian wanted was his hands to be warm. I mean, it was just
time he always had
all he wanted. And he goes, my hands felt like they were on fire, and he said. His tears were streaming, and all he kept saying as Lucian was, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Vanessa. I love you. You will always be my wife. I will love you. I've always loved you. I have always, always loved you. I've always been in love with you. I always love you, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was crying. I was like,
so say that a little slower. Okay, so he had scleroderma, and his hands were always cold. So all he ever wanted was for them to be warm. So this guy has no idea that that's happening.
No.
He comes,
Someone said, you have to make peace. And all I heard was Lucian saying, you might have shot your last wad. You were silly, and you might never get another opportunity in this business. That might have been it. And you made a big mistake.
This is what he said in real life.
Yeah, and you're going to have to be undeniably funny now. And that's it.
Oh.
And that's the tape that kept fucking playing year in and year out.
And then he exits stage right and leaves you with that.
Yeah, and you just have to be really good now, really funny. You got to be really funny. Got to be really funny. Got to be.
But you were always very funny.
Yeah, but all I heard, you might have shot your last wad, and that's it. Never get another chance. Never get another. And when your mind will tell you that's. Yeah, and I held on.
Because you probably tapped into your own whatever you had inside you already. If somebody does that,
right? And when I had the development deal in 2 years, I was like, be like a horse with blinders. Nothing is going to stop me. Nothing. I just be. Even if you're shy and you don't know how to talk to people, talent will win out. Just believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself, and you don't have to. If you can't talk to anybody, that's all right. Just be so good at what you do. That was that tape.
But talent doesn't always work out.
No.
You have to be able to handle yourself as a human being.
Right.
That's what people
have faith.
And why people kill themselves and they OD on drugs. Like that's why people.
Now I hated wine. I hated fucking wine. Lucian loved wine, and I became an alcoholic in 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
After you relapsed? When you picked up?
When I picked up.
Because you were only trying to get yourself out of it prior to cut yourself, before you got bad, when you first got sober.
Yeah, I was a potential alcoholic.
And then
I saw the signs that I might, from my dad. It was so, when I quit drinking, I didn't even know where a liquor store was. I was so removed. People could get drunk in front of me, I could care less. Lucian had alcohol all over the place, could care less. It was fucking removed. I used to think, why do people drink when there's candy?
Right. But isn't alcohol sugar? So
it's sugar. I still was genetically predisposed to sugar, which alcohol turns into, or sugar turns into sugar alcohol. I still had the genetics. I was making him his sauce. He was so skinny and getting ready to die. And his butter sauce with the wine. I used to just make. I learned how to be such a gourmet chef, and the greatest joy he got was me making him food, and that was where we shared the moments. So I just thought, oh fuck it, let me just try a glass. I haven't drunk. I was 44 now. Hadn't really never. I mean, at communion, my friends would make communion. I was Protestant. I used to love it because there was always grape juice. I'm like, this I could fucking drink. I would gag when it would be communion wine.
But the stress of him dying, and this is like probably the biggest abandonment of your entire life.
Of my entire fucking life. He was my rock, and we had like agape love at this point. We got so close that I just used to watch him sleep and feel comfort. Just watching him sleep. I thought, okay, let me just have a glass of wine. And by the way, I was probably losing a little bit of my sobriety because it was so painful. It'd be like, okay, a Percocet for you, a Percocet for me. It just fucking hurts.
And I don't know if anybody would blame you.
Yeah. It was, and I was always trying to find gloves and gadgets to take his pain away. And the fentanyl patch, I was always researching, Googling, what pain relief can he take that won't interfere with the 23 medications? People thought I was a doctor. Nurses that used to work with him as a nurse used to say, you should be a nurse because you're really good at...
Well, who's going to care about somebody you care about more than
and
you?
I was always trying to do gigs where I could get right back to New York. And I knew that he was going to die because I had to get back to New York. And I was on the phone with him on a Sunday. And he's like, Vanessa, I'm so in love with you. And I remember... being like at the Borgata, thinking I've got to get back. And
why? Because you knew something.
I knew like he never talked like that.
Oh, and the Borgata's in Atlantic City.
Yeah, and it's like I got to get back. I've got to get back home. And Monday, I remember begging him to like go look at the comics on the screen, and he's like, "Stop hassling me." Those were the last words I heard out of his mouth. Stop hassling me. And the last words out of my dad's mouth was he was yelling at me. The last words out of Big Race was she was yelling at me. It was like, everyone's always fucking yelling at me. And my mom was like nice. And so I just thought, let me just drink the wine. And I drank it. I just drank the glass down. I tasted disgusting. And then I brought in his tray. And there was no pain. Like my pain went. And something crossed. I felt close to Lucian. I finally drank the famous wine that he wanted, and the pain went. I remember like drinking some wine with him, and he looked at me and he's like, "You're drinking," and it was like one of those, like before he was getting ready to pass away. It's almost like you knew, oh no, what if she is an alcoholic? What if I was wrong? Like he had a different. Now? Yeah, I said, Lucian, I'm so worried. I said, I don't know what I'm going to do without you. And Lucian looked at me and goes, I don't know what you're going to do without me.
Oh, I don't mean to laugh, Vanessa, but I'm like, oh my God, how can he leave that to you? And then he leaves and you're like, in your head, you think you need him to survive. So even if you still survive, if you don't emotionally take care of that.
And that month, that when he died, I didn't even eat. I didn't eat. I didn't shop. It's like I floated on air. I remember thinking all I ever wanted to do was be thin, and then I was afraid that I was just going to die. I thought I was just going to like I would have a milkshake to put on weight. I'd never in my life had to worry about weight. I would drink the milkshake and be a pound less. Like my heart would, like I couldn't. I thought this is like Stephen King's Thinner. Like I couldn't even put on weight. I thought, I wonder if I'm just going to die from starvation, from a broken heart, from a broken fucking heart. And that was my beginning of hell.
Which is when...
to crawl out of.
Okay, so since you have to go...
And I have to go.
We have to close up by saying I'm going to come back.
We'll do the Serenity Prayer.
No, we're going to do... Okay. We're going to... You're not leaving. You have to say goodbye.
I got to say goodbye.
Okay. We're going to have you come back and do the rest so people can hear what happens.
Because it gets...
a beautiful story.
Yeah.
A beautiful and, like, I think life story. Like,
life story, and I'm obviously here. November 22nd will be 9 years. So
be 9 years
since his death. I mean, I wouldn't be here and not tell you that wonderful, serendipitous, spiritual, amazing things happened, and that life and faith and growth is cyclical, and he's with me now, and he'd be so proud to know. And when I was in my darkest moments crying to God, I even cried to Bill W. I didn't even think God or Jesus heard me. Someone said, if you can get a plane ticket, I will cover your entire cost of a rehab. It was $50,000. and I got the help I needed.
Can I just ask you one? That's a beautiful story. But can
That
I
was
ask you a
5
question?
months ago.
But why not the plane ticket too?
Why not the plane ticket too? I don't know, Sue Costello.
All right, that was Vanessa Hollingshead, everybody.
You can ask. I thought a $50,000 rehab in Australia. It was friggin' Australia. And they said, you know what? You should stay here another 2 weeks. We love you. And I thought, no, I think I'm kind of sick. We love you. And then I thought when they said another 2 weeks, is that because they really love me or they think I'm a sick fuck?
All right, do we really love her or do we think she's a sick fuck? We love her.
Oh, so I gotta get to
All right,
meeting.
she's got to go. Everybody, that's the latest episode of the Kadoozie Cast. We're over and out. See you next time. Hear you next time. Listen next time.